Welcome to the Cheer Up Podcast. I am your host, Kara R. Hunt, and with me is the beautiful and sweet Sherry Swalwell. How are you today, sweet Sherry?
I am doing fantastic. So it is still November. I am still loving it, and fall is still one of my favorite seasons.
I know, right? And it is, and we've talked about this before, but I just personally cannot imagine living in an area where we didn't experience 4 seasons.
I know.
Yes, and do I complain when it gets too icy and you can't go anywhere? Yes, but that's probably the only thing people will hear me complain about because I don't even mind the snow, or snow-related things, but ice, yeah, that one, yeah, is one of those where I'm like, ooh, okay, that, and everything else. But I still love the 4 seasons, and I wouldn't change it, if I could. It's just so amazing. And of course, I love to decorate. So of course, there's always the fall decor, which is so cute. But you're not a huge decorator, though.
No, only because I'm not very organized. So if I buy stuff to decorate with, then I don't remember where I put it. So I'm not a very good decorator. No, I'm really not. I know where our Christmas stuff is, so I'm good there. And fall stuff, like I have started to decorate for fall. But then, I guess I should say I'm getting better at it because I do have some spring things that I will put away and bring the fall stuff out, and then vice versa. So I do know where that is. But I don't have like tons of stuff because I don't have room for tons of stuff, or I'll lose it. So yeah.
Or you lose it.
Yep, that's me.
I do have to say, because I like to decorate for all 4 seasons, that hubby has probably said to me more than once, like, we're running out of space.
Yes.
And I'm going, oh, nonsense. There's no way. There's always space somehow, some way, somewhere. It's like, the ceiling. I can hang stuff from there.
There you go.
I'm like, there's always space. There's always space. And that's what I'm saying because I don't want him to, say, okay, enough of the decor. Like, how much do you really need, woman? So I'm like, oh no, there's space. I'll make space. We'll find space. Don't worry. And so it's just really crazy.
That's like me with Bible verse plaques and candles. Like, it's funny because we'll go to the store and our youngest will be like, walk away, Mom, walk away.
Walk away.
Walk away. We have plenty. Walk away. I'm like, but we don't have to walk away, Mom. It's okay. Walk away.
It's okay. It's okay, Mom. Just walk away. You got it. You can do this. You can do this. And you're like, I don't know. I'm not so sure.
I know, because it's part of that self-care.
As they're pulling you away, as they're gently pulling you away, huh?
Exactly. Well, it's part of that self-care for me. I love those things. They fill me up. But it's also
I know.
what I talked about last week with the retail therapy. I don't need it. It's not in the
none of us need it. None of us need it. And for those of you who are just joining us, welcome again to the Cheer Up Podcast, Your Journey to Joy, the podcast that is based on John 16:33. And Sherry will tell you a lot more about that scripture and that verse at the end of the podcast. But we want to say welcome to all of our new listeners, and thank you to all of our loyal listeners that tune in every week and sometimes more to faithfully listen to the Cheer Up Podcast. Thank you so much. So for those who listened to last week's episode, you'll notice at the very end that there was like a little teaser there where I said, make sure you want to tune into next week's episode because we have a little surprise for you. And instead of making you wait all the way to the end, which technically I should do to build up the suspense, but we just want to let you guys know that this January 2024, January 17th, to be exact. It's a Wednesday, and it's also the day that our the Cheer Up podcast third anniversary will be featured and will be uploaded. And well, that's not unusual, right? Because we have an episode every Wednesday, but Wednesday evening, Sherry and I will be hosting a live Twitter space for all of our listeners, any of our listeners who would like to come and join in. And you guys can ask us anything you want on the Twitter space, anything about the Cheer Podcast, the past 3 seasons, our books that we've written, the ones that we're about to write, anything about the podcast, your favorite episodes, the ones you like, the ones you didn't like. We will be hosting that live Twitter space on Wednesday, January 17, 2024, at 5 to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So please mark your calendars. We're so excited. It's the first time we're ever doing this, and we're just so excited, and we kind of wanted to let you guys know months ahead of time, so that we're hoping that every last one of you who are listening to this will be able to hear it. Am I forgetting anything, Sherry?
No, I think that was perfect.
And I'm so glad that we're going to be able to do this. So come, have fun. And if you're going to join, you can also send us a podcast, send us a email at the Cheer Up Podcast at gmail.com if you're planning to join, and we would love that. That way you don't have to, but at least that way we will know who's all coming, and we'll be able to stay in contact with you. And so in the evening on a Wednesday in January, we should probably have some tea, a relaxing tea. So if you send us an email, we would love it if you do. And if you feel like sharing your snail mail address, we will send you a packet of tea so that you'll be able to join us with that. So, and everyone will just have their tea and they'll be joining, and we hope it'll be a very calm and relaxing evening. So, all right, on to today's subject. We will be continuing the November series on self-care. Oh, my goodness. If you have a chance to go back to listen to last week's episode, please go and do that. And for those of you who have already done that, then you know that we're talking more of like a biblical version of self-care, not what the culture says, but and we covered this in last week's episode, but more of a biblical version of self-care. And today we're going to cover what are the signs that we need self-care. What are some of the signs that you've personally experienced, Sherry, or that you've seen in others that kind of let you know that self-care is probably something that you may need?
Well, I had always heard about burnout, and I think there have been a couple other times in my life that I've experienced burnout. I used to work in a very stressful job. I worked overtime all the time. We talked about that during our Sabbath month, how detrimental working overtime can be long-term, not short-term necessarily, but long-term. I think that's one of the reasons why God talks so much about doing everything in moderation. Like, he knows what he's talking about. We need to just listen to him. Again, we talked about that during the Sabbath episode as well, that everything that God tells us to do, every direction that he gives us is for our benefit and for our blessing. It's not to punish us or to make it so that we can't have any fun. So moderation is the most important way to live. But I used to work a very stressful job, and I chose on purpose to resign from that job and work from home instead, because I wanted to be the one to raise our kids, and I wanted to not have to rely on other babysitters. Being a mother and a wife is the most important job to me. So we were able to structure our lifestyle so that I work from home, and it makes it a little easier. But I do need to continue to work on my best yeses and taking more things out of my schedule. One of my pastors at my church said to me, they're like, Sherry, you have the type of personality that you'll just keep saying yes and yes and yes and piling on more and more and more. And you need to make sure that you are wise in that. And he's right. So I still need to work on that. But anyway, so there have been a few times in my life where I have experienced burnout. But last summer, I think was one of the most significant because I felt it in every area, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And I remember my husband took me away for my birthday for a couple of days. And I just remember sitting in the car. I didn't even know where we were going. He had surprised me. And sitting in the car, and I just remember thinking, oh my goodness, I can just like sit. I don't have to think. I don't have to talk. I don't have to do anything for anybody. I don't have to do anything. I can just sit here. And I even remember last summer, I did a lot more listening to God and just sitting with him silently than I did even talking to him, because even talking to him was too tiring. I just needed him to fill me up instead of me constantly giving. And so I say all that to say he took me to a small town in Indiana, and it was perfect because there was no hustle and bustle. It was like everything slowed down. It was the perfect place to be. It like really nourished my soul. And the hotel that we went to, I don't think it was necessarily a Christian hotel, to be honest with you, but right outside our door, our hotel door, was this beautiful picture, and it had this verse, and the verse was like the main catch of the picture. It wasn't like in little print at the bottom. It was like the main thing that you saw, and it said, "Find rest, O my soul, in God alone." Psalm 62:5. And my birthday's at the beginning of the summer, so my birthday's actually June 1st, but we went there on June 3rd because I took a picture of it. And so it's on my phone. And that was like my theme then for the rest of the summer. Find rest, oh my soul, in God alone. It like was totally the best Jesus hug that I could have ever had, at least at that season in my life, because it just felt like God was saying, I see how tired and weary you are, and that's okay. I've got you. Like, just rest. And so I felt permission to just sit quietly with God all summer. I didn't have to talk to him. I didn't have to do anything. I could just sit with him. And slowly but surely over the summer, he restored my soul. And so for me, I'm trying to think, I lose all of my creativity. Like, usually when things are going well and I'm in a good state of mind, throughout the day, throughout my normal life, God will speak to me through just ordinary circumstances, ordinary incidents that happen. He'll give me an analogy, and then I'm able to share that with other people. All of that was just gone. Like, I had nothing. Nothing was coming. There was no creative juices left. I felt all this pressure that I needed to finish writing a book, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't even start it because I had no creativity. Like, it was gone. I had heard of that from other people, and I was like, oh man, I don't ever want to experience that. Yeah, it's not very fun. Like, it was gone. And I had to just give myself permission to just let it be gone. Like, you can't force something that's not there. You can't drink from a dry cup, like we talked about last week. You can't give to other people when you're running on empty yourself. Then my physical body started having symptoms as well. My blood pressure would shoot up to skyrocketing numbers when I would feel threatened, whether I felt threatened physically, emotionally, or mentally, it would skyrocket. So my body was telling me, Sherry, you're not in a good place right now. Mentally, like I said, I had, I also find part of it is being in menopause, but part of it I think is overstress and too much on my plate. I lose my words. And, I'll be thinking about something and I won't be able to find the right word or the right phrase to adequately explain it. Now, the times when I open my mouth and I'm thinking about a stove and I say refrigerator, that's just the menopause. So that I laugh about. But the other, I could tell that I was just not in a good frame of mind. I needed more self-care because I couldn't find the words even that I needed to say. So those are kind of some of the ways that I have found for myself that that I'm in need of self-care, and I haven't kept the balance that I need to keep. What about you, Kara?
Yeah, it's definitely. First, I want to say, if you're tired, if you're weary, if you're anxious, if you're ill, um, those are all quick and immediate signs that you need self-care. If you can't sleep at night, if you're restless and it's been more than one or two nights, it's like a constant, and you haven't been able to sleep in a while, that's signs that you need self-care. If your body is hurting, joint-wise, muscle-wise, that's another example that you need self-care. And just like with let's say, you're out running or jogging or going for a walk and you sprain a muscle. You immediately rest that leg. You take care of that leg because you don't want to re-injure it any further. And that's the kind of self-care we are talking about. It is taking care of those things so that we don't re-injure ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, or emotionally any further. It is taking the time out to say, Lord, I need to work on this. This is causing me stress, anxiety, worry, and or pain, whether it be physical or emotional. And it's like, I just need to sit down and take a breather, and I need to work on this. Give me godly wisdom, strength, ideas on that can help me relax, on how to help deal with this particular situation so that I can function normally the way you have designed me to function, Lord, and that I won't be functioning with a handicap and I won't be limping emotionally because I haven't taken care of something that should have been taken care of a long time ago, and now I just don't have the mental strength, let alone the emotional desire or mental desire to even go any further with this and forget helping people because I'm just down. That is one of the reasons we need self-care. And every last one of us have experienced that at one time or another. And it's about how we deal with it, like Sherry was just talking about. And we don't want to do further damage by ignoring it. And we don't want to be limping through life injured, handicapped, crippled by something that the Lord is like, hand it over to me. Cast your burdens on me. Let me help you. Cast your burdens on me and let me heal you of the injury that has been done to you. That could be someone said something to you that was like a dagger to your heart and you're still bleeding. And that comment could have been made 2 to 3 years ago. It could be physical pain, like you literally hurt yourself. And the pain is just unbearable. And it could be, something mental. You could be struggling with guilt and or anxiety about a situation. These are all signs that we need self-care. And depending on you personally and depending on your personality and the things that you enjoy, depends on the type of self-care that you need to indulge in. And sometimes that's just allowing yourself 1 to 2, maybe 3 days of rest. And that could be rest from work, rest from physical activity, rest from emotional stress. It's almost as if you're putting a square around you. You're creating boundaries, and you're just saying, you're saying and actually meaning, I can't take any more. And we say that flippantly all the time, like, I can't hear anymore. I can't deal with this. I can't take anymore. We say it so flippantly all the time, but yet we still deal with it. We still listen to it. We still accept it and everything else. But in this case, you like put a boundary around you and be like, no, literally, I cannot deal with this anymore. I cannot hear or talk about this anymore, and I just can't take anymore. And you're just going to like emotionally cut you off from whatever it cut off from, like whatever is causing that stress. Give yourself time to be alone with God about that situation, that person, the people, the circumstance, and let Him minister to you. Let Him minister to your heart. You know, while you're doing something you enjoy, whether that's reading a novel, whether that's doing a puzzle, whether that's just sitting back to worship that ministers to your soul, that builds you up, that encourages you, that uplifts you. Um, Whether it's just painting, like, if you're an artist, or want to be artist, we're not looking, we're not talking Michelangelo here, but, whatever it is that helps you relax and connect with the Lord. If it's going for, like, for instance, with Sherry, she loves the outdoors. If it's going for a hike, or a swim, just doing those things and letting the Lord minister to you and build you up, and completely just shutting the door to all those things that you literally, not figuratively, but literally can't take any more of, because it's damaging you, it's hurting you, it's causing you stress and turmoil. And take 2 to 3 days, however long it takes for you to just be like, okay, whew, okay, I'm good. Now bring it on. Like, okay, give me what you got. And you do that, but you've been refreshed. Now you'll be able to squeeze out of your emotional sponge that everything that the Lord has put into it. Did that make sense, Sherry?
It did. It made a lot of sense. And, I think that the way that we're talking about self-care is getting into those habits and getting into those practices before you experience burnout. So you don't need to go through a whole season of refreshing, and instead you can just take a few days here or there, or you can build it into your lifestyle so that it's part of your, or build it into habits so that it's part of your lifestyle, so that you are always feeling filled up and you don't have that depletion. And that's where I think that I really struggled more in the past, and I'm really kind of trying to work on that so that I don't get to that point anymore. It's not a badge of honor to be flat on your back. It's not a badge of honor to work yourself to death. It's not a badge of honor to be dealing with that karoshi that we talked about in the other series.
Last month, yeah.
Yeah, none of that is a badge of honor. The badge of honor is being able to live well. John 10:10 talks about the abundant life that God promises us. We are a living example. We are a living representation of Jesus Christ. He did not work himself to death. He did not serve others to the point where he was physically unable to move. We need to follow that example. And I'm not saying that we're going to be able to do it perfectly, because we're not perfect. But he gave us that example for a reason. And so that's where I think all of us need to take that self-assessment spiritually. Where are we? Are we feeling good? Are we growing? Are we hearing God? Are we feeling close to him? Physically, do we hurt? Are there areas that we need to improve? How's our eating going? How's our intentional moving going? How are we feeling physically? Are we feeling sick? Are we feeling healthy? Are we taking vitamins? Is that something that we choose to do? What about mentally? What are we putting into our minds in order to fill us up and to keep us thinking about whatever is pure, whatever is just, whatever is noble, whatever is worthy? Think about those things. And emotionally, how are our relationships going? Relationships are a really good example for us of how we're doing emotionally. Do we fly off the handle? Do we burst into tears? Are we yelling at everybody? Are we calm? Are we able to have normal conversations, or are we very defensive? Like, those are all questions that we should be asking ourselves to see what area of our lives. Maybe we don't need, like, maybe we've rocked the self-care physically. Maybe we've rocked it spiritually, but maybe mentally and emotionally we need to find more, or we need to do more work in those areas. So I think that this week is a really good week, especially as we're getting closer to Thanksgiving and then closer to the Christmas season, and then closer to the new year, new you. What are some of the areas that you have pinpointed and targeted that you need to see improvement in?
Sherry, can I add something here?
Oh, absolutely.
I just, you were mentioning about preparing before you have an incident, right? To finding out what relaxes you before something happens. And I think that is so important. I think that is so key. So every day, listen to your body. Pay attention to what makes you smile. Is it animals? Is it puppies? Is it kittens? Is it birds? If I'm just using animals as an example. Just notice when you smile. What are you smiling at? Is it when you see couples kiss, when they hug each other? Those are the things you want to pursue when you're feeling down and out. If you love puppies, then go play with puppies. Go to the dog park. Go adopt a puppy if it's reasonable, for your home and your household. Find those things. Find out what makes you smile. Me personally, I love to laugh. I find that relaxes me a lot. And I have my favorite clean comedians that I love to listen to, that I know that if I pull them up, whether it be on YouTube or I put in one of their DVDs, that within 30 minutes, I'm going to be feeling better because I just laughed my head off, and things like that. So I like to keep things like that on hand, and things like that. Birds, we don't have to keep on hand, right? You could just go outside and enjoy them, and things like that. Pay attention to what makes you smile. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done, Sherry.
No, don't be sorry at all. I think that was perfect. So I completely agree. Like, I had no idea that I loved flowers so much. I really didn't. Like, I'm not the type of person, like my husband, he's wonderful, and he would buy me flowers on our anniversary. He would buy them periodically, throughout our life together. But I never, ever thought that they would fill me up so much. But in this particular season in my life, they really did. Now, candles, I love candles. I love smell. Smell is so important to me, and it's so, I don't know, it's just key to my well-being. There are seasons in my life that are triggered, or I should say, when I smell a certain smell, I'm triggered back into a particular season in my life. And so candles, I love candles. And so you decorate, Kara, with stuff. I celebrate the different seasons with candles. So we have summer candles, we have spring candles, we have fall candles, and we have winter candles. And same with my coffee flavors. I do different kinds of coffee and different kinds of seasons. And that's just another way that I like to fill up. So
you know what? There's a name for that. I just thought about that. They call that aromatherapy.
Well, there we go. So see, God's been aromatherapying me for years.
Yes, they call that aromatherapy. So, that makes you smile. So when things happen, you're like, I'm going to light all these candles.
Exactly. And I have different candles for different bosses and different days of the week when I do different jobs. It totally takes me into that space in a good way. This is, and I have different candles and different scents for different series, the different series that I do. So I'm wrapping up, finishing up all the different edits and so forth of book 6. And it's been a coffee candle. In fact, I've had to buy 2 or 3 because it was a 6-book series. And when I just bought a new candle, and I'm like, okay, I told my husband, I said, this is the candle that's going to start my new series. And I'm so excited.
See there? And one thing's for sure, you're never going to run out of candles. I mean, they're everywhere. And I just personally want to thank everyone who loves me, who continually give me candles. I have so many candles here, and I absolutely love it. Because you said, aromatherapy is so therapeutic.
Yes. And I'll never forget, we lost power one night. where we live is so interesting because we don't usually lose power during the storm. We lose it after the storm. Don't ask me why. I don't know. But anyway, so it was a Friday night and we lost power and everything was quiet, I remember. And 3 of us were home. 2 of us were still coming home. It was warm enough out. It was in the fall that it was chilly, but it wasn't like you weren't going to die if you didn't have heat. And so it was a Friday night. We were relaxing. It had been a long week. My husband fell asleep on the couch. My youngest fell asleep on the other part of the couch, and I was in the chair. And we had candles on because it was dark. And I remember it was so peaceful. I just laid there. I didn't fall asleep with a lighted candle. I was still wide awake, but I was so relaxed. And I remember the dogs were there. My family was there. We were waiting for the rest of my family. And it was just such a peaceful moment because there was just quiet. It was like nothing. And whenever I have those moments, well, I really, honestly, Kara, tend to just talk with God throughout the day. Like, he's just always there. So it wasn't like I was purposefully starting a conversation with him. I was just continuing the conversation that I had started earlier in that morning. But it was just so peaceful. And it was in fall. I know that much. It was a couple years ago. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I can tell you where I was sitting, how I was feeling, the fact that we had a candle lit. It was just it was probably one of my favorite evenings. When I look back over my life, it was one of my favorite evenings. And thankfully, the electricity came back on before we went to bed, so that made it even better. But yeah, it's like those kind of things where you just are able to get still. It was definitely a self-care moment for me because it checked off all the feels. It was wonderful.
Absolutely. And like I said, you'll never run out of candles. And I was watching a beauty show not too long ago. I think it was just last week. And I'm sitting there going, just when you think you can't do anything else with candles, it was a candle company that you lit the candle, and of course, the wax that melted wasn't actually a wax; it was an oil. And so, as the candle burned, it would create this oil, and it was a warm oil, and you would pour it in your hand and rub it on your body.
Oh,
you know,
God.
Yeah, so it's like a beauty oil, that nourishes the skin, that does all this stuff. So yeah, it's like for those of you who love aromatherapy and, and things like that, just continue to look for those things that do that. If you like to laugh, just, things like that, just find out what makes you smile and indulge in it when you're feeling like, yes, I do need self-care.
Well, I think this is the perfect way to end our day today. We are going to come back next week, and we're going to talk about some more practical tips of how we can experience and enjoy that self-care, put them into a healthy habit so that we can then feel armed and ready for the Christmas season as we're going into it. But that's going to be the last episode that we do right before Christmas, so right after Thanksgiving. But I want to remind everybody, January 17th, 2024, we're going to have a live Twitter feed. You all are invited to celebrate I think it's technically our 2nd anniversary, but our 3rd year of taping. Is that how the whole year thing works? Kind of like when you're pregnant for 9 months, but the kid comes out and they're 0, not 1. I'm not sure how all of that.
Yeah.
So I think it's our 2nd anniversary, but our 3rd year of taping. But either way, it's going to be a lot of fun.
So yeah, some way or another, yeah. It's our anniversary. Let's just leave it there.
Yeah. So it'll be
the podcast. I'm sorry, podcast anniversary.
Oh, yes. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, I just thought about that. I was like, yeah, so it's not our wedding. It's not our wedding anniversaries or any other type of anniversary, but no, it's our podcast anniversary.
Yes, thank you. So 5 to 7 Central Time, 6 to 8 Eastern Standard Time, and let me see if it's 6, and that would be 3 to 5 Pacific Time. So, and then 4 to 6 Mountain Time, I think. That's with a question mark, but I'm pretty sure. I'm getting really good with my time zones because of the different.
Oh, you're way better at it than I am.
Well, that's because I have to do it for a living. So God has been using my job to help me out in life. So John 16:33 tells us that in me, these things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. There are no better words than that. And when I'm feeling depleted, spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally, knowing that he brings peace, knowing that Jesus is peace, and knowing that he has overcome the world really does help. It might not take care of the initial or the specific problem that I'm dealing with right then, but knowing that he has everything under control sure does make me feel amazing overall. If you need prayer, if you need encouragement, please email us at thecheeruppodcast@gmail.com. Also, come join our Facebook community group, Cheer Up Podcast. And we would love for you to come on January 17th, 2024, so that we can see you and that we can just enjoy spending a couple hours with you. Like Kara said, you can ask any questions you want. We can just have fun talking. And if you give us your snail mail, we will send you some tea ahead of time so that we can all have something great to drink as well. So head over to Kara's website, Kara R. Hunt. She has lots of things to talk about, lots of things to share with you over there. Head over to my website, it's KaraRHunt.com. Sherry Swalwell. I do not know where that came from, but but that is not right. And then you can check out the different things that I offer on my website as well. We are so glad to talk to you guys this week. I'm loving the series that we're talking about, and I'm super excited about what we get to talk about in January too. So have a great week. Have a great rest of your day, and we will talk to you next week.